Cougars, it's Miss Haffel. This week we're going to be learning non-standard forms of measurement. That means we're going to be using things around our house to measure. Let's start with a pen. We're going to be using a pen today to measure different things around the house. There are 3 rules when measuring. The first rule is always measure edge to edge. So look right here. When I measure using a pen, I need to make sure the edge is lined up with the edge of my notebook. I do not want to start it like this or like this. It needs to be on the edge. When measuring with a pen, I still have more space. I'm going to put my finger here and I'm going to pick up my pen and I'm going to keep measuring. So I have 1 pen and about half of a pen. That's 1.5 pens long. If I was going to write that for my answer, I would maybe draw the notebook. I would write notebook. And I would write 1. And now to write half, there's 2 ways you can write half. You can write 1.5. Or you can write 1, and this is the 1.5 symbol. You can pick either way to write half when you're writing half in your own journal later. 1.5 or 1.5. And we're just estimating. It's not exactly 1.5 pens, but it's close to that. The next thing I'm going to measure using my pen is going to be my cereal box. And I'm going to go over the other rules when I'm measuring something a little bigger here. The first rule I taught you is that you have to start on the edge. We know that. The next rule is that when you're measuring, you can't leave gaps. So if I put my pen here and then I put it here to try and measure it again, do you see how there's a gap from where my finger is? There's not allowed to be any gaps when we're measuring. That's why it's really important that we mark where we left off and we put it exactly where it was. No gaps. And the last thing is, if I'm measuring with a pen, I have to make sure I use the same size pen along the whole edge. So I can't say 1 pen, 2 pen, because look, these pens are different sizes. You have to make sure you're using the same size the whole time you're measuring. So let's measure the Cheerios box together. We start right on the edge. 1 pen, look, I'm using my finger to mark where it ends. 2 pens. And if you see there's a little gap here, we're just gonna go ahead and estimate. Since there's only a little bit of space, we're gonna call that 2 pens, because it's not really enough for a whole other half of a pen. So I'm gonna draw my cereal box. I'm gonna write cereal, and I'm gonna write 2, because it's 2 pens long. When you're doing your work this week, this is how you're gonna do this. You can either draw or write what you're measuring, and I'm going to be posting what your tool of measurement is every day. So one day you might be measuring with a pencil, one day you might be measuring with pennies. You're gonna use different things to measure, and you're going to follow our 3 rules. Edge to edge, no gaps, and using the same size every time. Have a great week.